Quickest way to roll over and set up new Xero tax returns for 2026. Firstly, there are probably your main Monday due dates. I go to the client and then from the client window create multiple tabs of clients, perhaps 10 or so, and note the last one on a spreadsheet, on a pen and paper, so that I'm not jumping between screens. And then I will go through and I'll write down any that are just a Xero file or not an active client that I can't create a return anymore. This one is a return, and because I've gotten into the return there. And so setting the due dates at the start makes sense, because then you can only edit the due dates in the draft status. Otherwise, if you want to change the due date, you're unable to do it if it's lodged, and if it's completed or further, you'll have to bring it back to draft and move it back through. I don't use XPM, so I leave the job blank. I tick the first one as the related client. I tick the tax type, which is entity type TR for tax return, unless it's trust, which is TRT, which is the wrong code, but otherwise, CTR, company, ITR, individual, etc. Tax year's 2026, as we said. Rollover will come up automatically if there was a previous return done. To update the file date, which I put as the due date, as quickly as possible, I click and use the arrow. So I'll click in to the day. I'll type, say 17. I'll click the right arrow to move over to the month. Then I might type MM for then March and then May, and then I'll click a right arrow again, and then I'll go up 1 year to 2027. But obviously you can use the up and down and the left and right arrows to move between fields and months or years or days. As I said, I use the due date as a filter. I, in the first instance, don't remove the Xero from pre-fills, as how many clients do have pre-fills, and also you can refresh the pre-fill and remove the pre-fills at the Xeros from the managed funds at any time. And obviously you just follow whoever has given you instructions on how to do this. I was able to do 10 tax returns in 4 minutes. Obviously, a quick internet speed helps you. And I think it is possible after the job is done where you could review the whole list, the number versus tax return number, or print an XPM report and an ATO client list report next to each other so that you can try to get back to the same number of returns as your ATO list, or have a knowledge that these clients you're not going to create some sort of reconciliation. I hope that helps. Good luck with it. And of course, I'm doing this in July because I like having my dashboard with my numbers. But of course, a number of other accountants might only do this in early September, say, after the rush of early returns is finished and after June pay-as-you-go installments and BASAs have been submitted, so that you've got the fourth quarter pay-as-you-go installment without needing to refresh the pre-fill again. And as you know, you can see the status on the summary page on the first icon of the tax return, so you can see who has refreshed the pre-fill and how often they've refreshed it. And if you refresh the pre-fill and it says error, it would usually mean that for some reason the client is no longer on your tax agent list. And given fraud, I'll always contact the client and say, hey, did you mean to not be on our tax agent list anymore, if they've dropped off the list unexpectedly.